as of right now, as you all know, we've been talking about it a lot on our show, you don't have to wear a face mask on a plane. But yesterday, the Department of Justice appealed that ruling that struck down the mask mandate. So we'll see how long that lasts. But there's another question we want to get to that a lot of people are asking about. What should happen to these folks? Remember them? The thousands of people who were put on no-fly lists for refusing to comply with the mask mandate. Should they be allowed to fly again? Here's what the CEO of United said about it on the Today Show.
Well, so we didn't ban any of those customers for life. Customers that simply refuse to wear a mask, what we told them is you can't fly United until the mask mandate is over. We had fewer incidents that happened at other airlines. Our flight attendants really did a great job. And because of that, we're comfortable that these people who just didn't want to wear a mask, now that there's no mask mandate, we can let them come back.
They didn't not just want to wear a mask. They also didn't follow directions. Other airlines, including Delta and Alaska Airlines, will allow banned customers to return, some on a case-by-case basis. But we really want to know what y'all think. DBL Nation, we want to know, should banned passengers be allowed to fly again? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. We're going to chat as you guys vote. Anyone here think this is good?
Well, somebody on United's media team is in a lot of trouble because I doubt they knew that they were going to have those videos in juxtaposition of him saying, hey, we're going to let these passengers back. I mean, it's like a very stark difference right there. Right. And I think you also are kind of opening yourself up to a lot of liability, because if it's a situation where a person who obviously decided they weren't going to wear a mask, although they were required to do so going through the airport onto the plane, and then a lot of times I've heard the flight attendant say, if you have an issue with the mask mandate, please let us know now so we can address it before we pull off the tarmac.
Right.
So people had an opportunity to say, okay, I'm not going to fly. And I've never seen anybody actually get up and leave.
Right.
But if that were the situation and it wasn't a violent assault, then I can understand being like, okay, well, they decided they didn't want to comply, but now we can welcome them back. But when people are literally eating their masks, trying to bite the person next to them, punching somebody in the head, disturbing the peace in the air, then yeah, if that person is allowed back and it's now it's a situation of they weren't allowed their Jack and Coke and they get aggressive, then that opens them up to liability for any passenger who may be in danger.
Yeah, because I don't want that person on my flight if you can't follow directions. Really quick, Delta said they will allow them back if they can demonstrate an understanding of behavior expectations. I don't know what that means.
Is it a test?
We don't know.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it means nothing.
It's like a field sobriety test?
Yeah.
Well, I would hope all those videos that went viral that we saw in the last 2 years would have some sort of impact on the person themselves, right? I would be more, like if I had too much to drink and that was me being carried off a plane and biting my mask, I'd be mortified that my family and I have sons that I'm going to bring. I just hope people learn from their mistakes, right? As far as the punishment goes, if you're assaulting somebody or you need to be dragged off a plane or you spit on somebody, you should absolutely not be allowed back. If it's maybe your political stance for some reason and you're like, I don't want to board this plane if I have to wear a mask, and you walk off and you're put on some list.
That's a protest, right?
You should be able to get back, but you should also serve some sort of you're not following the rules.
Right.
You should have some sort of punishment. I'm going to play devil's advocate just for this point, saying a lot of people got released from prison because of weed charges, right? That now is not an issue because it's legal now. At the time, it wasn't. It's the same thing with these masks, though. Now you don't have to wear the mask. Should we just release the punishment, even though at the time it was breaking a rule?
What do you think, Al?
I don't know in terms of like legality if you should, but I think this is a situation of not knowing. Like that there's two sets of people that you're talking to. You can talk to the people that say, you know, hey, I made a mistake on a plane and I'd like to be back on your airline. I'm sorry I punched the flight attendant, and maybe you want to hear that out. I would have no interest. But what you're failing to do is talk to the customers like us that are going to be getting on the planes with people that we love, with our children. And if that United the CEO, who I fly almost exclusively, had come out and said, you know what, it's terrible, but we're not going to let those people fly because we want the people that buy our tickets regularly to know that they're coming into a safe environment, no different from a stadium when people punch each other, try and run on the field and fight the ref. You don't get to go back to Eagle Stadium after you jump over the balcony, you know, the thing on the field.
There's consequences.
So what you've done is you've now told people that there are no rules. There are no rules. If you break the rules, you can come back, and people are always listening and seeing what you do, not what you say. So they've opened the floodgates. So if again, now if one of those people on the list assaults somebody, God forbid, now there's going to be a huge lawsuit because they're going to be like, you knew and you let it back on.
Exactly. That's why I was talking about the liability. But I do want to address what Jeff said, because that was one of my first thoughts too. And that's how we know it's absolutely capitalism versus politics, which sometimes can intertwine. But at the end of the day, these are two separate issues, because in terms of people being let out of prison because of weed charges, there are a lot of people who are still in prison because of weed charges, although it's legal in much of this country. So when we're talking about how fast things can change with capitalism, this is the example right now. And yeah, people do need to be freed and let out for marijuana.
Good point. I just want to say Mike Tyson punched someone on a plane, and this story we'll probably talk about tomorrow. Going to be interesting to hear the takes on should we still ban people.
I know.
Still with us?
Very interesting to hear. Let's get the final vote. Should passengers banned for not wearing masks be allowed to fly again? 84% of you say no. I think you make a good point. Have the United guy ask the majority of us,
Like
would
the
we want
people
them
that are
on
spending money? Why
do we want
the
them?
biting mascot
Thank
back?
you. Do I want growling dude? No.